Good afternoon and welcome to Sports Talk Saturday, January 22, 2022. My name is Daniel Blake. January 22, 2022. I wonder if I can say that 5 times fast. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me yet again for another week of Sports Talk. We're going to have a great show today. You're going to hear an interview with myself and international cricket commentator Fazeer Mohammed very shortly. And then later on in the show, we'll be previewing the Manning Cup final. Yes, that is today at 3 p.m. Um, it's on TV. That's all I can tell you. For obvious reasons, I can't tell you where to watch, how to watch. Just know that it's on TV. If you're a radio, no, I'm not going to tell you to listen on radio because you're supposed to be stuck to Love 101. So yeah, but we'll be previewing the final, and then you can listen to Love, and then watch the match simultaneously. All right. But anyways, Sports Talk brought to you by Jamaica Customs Agency, country above self, and the Accountant General's Department, service with excellence, touching the life of every Jamaican. Good afternoon to everyone listening on the FM band 101.1 to 101.9. Hello to everyone who is listening on the Love FM app. If you haven't downloaded it by now, you can go in the Google Play or the Apple Store, download it there. You can go in your browser, love101.org, listen live there. Or if you want to see what's going on, partially see what's going on, you can go on Facebook and YouTube and you will see me right now and you'll be able to hear everything and see everything that's going on. So, hello, everybody in the virtual land. All right, so I'm gonna start very shortly, but I realize sometimes because it's just an hour and I don't want it to be like an update show, right? But I do want to like update you on some things that have happened during the week. Uh, so here we go. So I call it sports bits. No, it's sports bits because it's not a huge bite, it's just a bit, right? So last night, Elaine Thompson Hera was named National Sportswoman of the Year. Congratulations to Elaine. She won 3 gold medals at the Tokyo Olympics. For those who woke up and watched it, and she also became the fastest woman alive. So, like nobody else was going to win. That's pretty obvious. Hansa Parchment named Sportsman of the Year. Um, Also, that's pretty obvious as well. He won gold in the men's 110-meter hurdles. So congratulations to Elaine and Hansel for being named National Sportsman and Woman of the Year. The West Indies, for those who like suffering, they begin their 5-match T20 International Series today, starting at 3 p.m. Um, if you want to watch that, watch it. Don't 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 turn your mind off from the West Indies because if you do, who's going to watch them, right? You have to support them nonetheless. Or Una have to support them. Maybe I won't. Or maybe I will. Who knows? Their last T20 win came in October. So hopefully they turn things around. The Reggae Boys, they played Thursday night, lost 3-0 to Peru in Peru. Mm-hmm. Lord help us. They resume World Cup qualifiers this coming Thursday against Mexico at the National Stadium with 0 fans. Thank you, government. So hopefully the Reggae Boys will pick up some wins and get a miracle in terms of qualifying for the World Cup. And as I said, we'll be talking about schoolboy football little later on. But Garvey Maceo, they won the Da Costa Cup. Them beat Mannings 5-0 in the final. Huge deal for Garvey Maceo. Edwin Allen, they won the Walker Cup, beating Stets 3-2 yesterday as well. And remember, Clarendon College, they won the Champions Cup last week, or was it the week before? I think it was last week, which means 3 schools from Clarendon currently hold schoolboy titles. That is amazing. So, if you come from Clarendon, you should be very proud. Edwin Allen, Clarendon College, and Garvey Maceo are schoolboy champions this season. So fantastic. All right. So remember, you can leave your comments in Facebook or YouTube for those there. Just leave your comments there. You can WhatsApp me on 876-997-3125. 997-3125 if you want to talk about the West Indies, if you want to talk about schoolboy football or anything that you want to talk about. Just leave your comments here and I will make sure to read them so that you feel extra special. All right. So, as you guys know, I usually do a little monologue at the start of the show, and I like to call it the Danielog.
Hi, this is David Blake.
This is Hope Blake.
I am Ariel Brown Blake.
I'm here to tell you right now.
It's time for the Danielog.
The Daniel Log.
The Danielog.
I love it. Presented by.
Yeah, I need a sponsor for the Danielog. So if anybody from corporate Jamaica is listening and want to sponsor a young man's monologue, I am here. All right, so years ago when I was going for lunch, during my lunch break at work, um, there was some road work going on. That was at the time when I think the government was really like digging up the roads and trying to fix up every road possible, right? So my usual route to get lunch was blocked off because of the tractors and everything. So me see some car did I take some left turn and one bag of things. So me follow them, right? And then I ended up on this road going through some community, whatever it is. And then I ended up seeing the main road. Fantastic. So I took the right turn. And then all of a sudden, this policeman just appears out of nowhere. Like him literally just come out of the ground and says, him hold up him right hand and, ask me to pull over. So he says, sir, do you know that you're not supposed to turn right coming from that road? And I said, no, I never know that. And him says, see the sign there. The sign wasn't directly in front of the road. It was further down, which never made any sense to me because if I had seen that sign, I would not have done it. Anyways, he write me a ticket and um, I was a little tardy in paying it. And then I went to court, right? Uh, so went to court. Judge asked me, how do I plead? I said, I plead guilty. So she wanted to know, like, why I took this illegal right turn. And I had explained to her that my usual route um, is blocked off. So I ended up taking the right turn. And I honestly didn't know that I couldn't. It was the first time that I had driven on that road and the sign was not that visible. Judge said, all right, no problem. So I think I was supposed to pay, I don't remember the exact amount, but I paid like 30% less. The judge ruled that I would pay 30% less or something like that because I genuinely didn't know. But I still had to pay the ticket, right? So, for those who have been following sports, the Walker Cup is actually going to be going on um, right now. I think I did say Edwin Allen won Walker Cup. I meant Ben Francis Cup. My apologies to Edwin Allen. So the Walker Cup is going on right now between Kingston Technical and St. Catherine High. It should have been Mona High. Mona High had beaten Kingston Technical, but it was found out that they had used two ineligible players. Two of those players were to be suspended because they got suspended from Manning Cup competition, but they played in the Walker Cup semifinals, right? It's supposed to carry over. Now, their coach, Craig Butler, he said that him never know say it did carry over. The school had appealed according to the principal, but Issa, who runs the competition, said this rule is very clear. So unfortunately, Mona High, who did very well this season and had a 50-50 chance of winning a title this year after years of I don't want to use mediocrity, but Mona High weren't a real powerhouse in schoolboy football. I know they had a chance to win a title, and because of an error in playing two players who should have been suspended, they were kicked out and won't be able to win that title. And the excuse was that them never know. Now I feel terrible for Mona High, because they have played some good football this season for those who have watched, um, and it's very impressive. But just like me, who never see the sign, and apparently it was common knowledge that you're not supposed to turn right on that road. Um, it was common knowledge that this rule that if you get suspended in one competition, you also get suspended in the next. So not because you never know, you probably should have known. Because it was clear from ISA, it was in the rules, and they also send out like a sheet to say which players are available each week, who gets suspended, and those type of things. So in the end, there it was really no excuse. So it's unfortunate that those young men who worked so hard, um, to get to that final won't be able to compete in the final currently being played. Um, and to be very honest with you, those two players who were supposed to miss the match, if they actually missed the match, Mona High, them probably still would have win. No disrespect to Kingston Technical, but I'm saying that it was such a good team performance that two other players could have come in and made a difference. Unfortunately, that's not how it goes. They should have known the rules. Um, there's, we could make up excuses and they could make up excuses as well, but unfortunately, no excuse. So, great season to Mona High. I heard that, I read in an article that Craig Butler might decide to step away because of this and some other issues that he's faced during the season. I hope that he doesn't, because it's good to see non-traditional schools be competitive. Yeah, we know Kingston College and Jamaica College going to play in the Manning Cup final, but this year there was no St. George's College at the end. Um, stats of late, they have really improved their setup. And we've seen so many other schools who have really stepped up this year. So hopefully Craig Butler decides to reverse his decision, come back next season, and then we see Mona High be very competitive in the Manning Cup again. All right, so that is my Daniel log for this week. And we're going to go into a break, and then when we come back, we'll be talking West Indies cricket. When last you had a cricket discussion with somebody? Well, we're going to have that today. So stay tuned as we go to a break. We'll be right back.
Hello? Hello? Nobody light it. Protect the land. Respect the warning.
The time by Jamaicans Against Bushfires, JAB, is
It is 1:15.
attention seniors. The Ministry of Labor and Social Security is now accepting applications for the social pension program. If you are 75 years or older and do not have a pension or steady income, you should apply. Take your government ID, birth certificate, NIS and TRN cards, and your bank account details. Remember, if you receive PATH or poor relief, your benefit will be transferred to the new program. For more information, call 876-922-8007. The Social Pension Program, caring for our elderly. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness wishes to remind members of the public that if they develop mild flu-like symptoms, they are to remain at home and monitor themselves while observing the infection prevention and control measures. If symptoms worsen or persist beyond 3 days, or if you have chronic illnesses, then you should seek medical advice. And this can be from your private practitioner, from the health center, or from the parish health department. Persons may be advised to do a COVID-19 test. This can be done privately or in the public health system by referral. A list of public health testing sites is available on the Ministry of Health and Wellness's website. Persons with severe symptoms should seek immediate medical attention. All persons are encouraged to frequently wash their hands, wear a mask, get vaccinated. If you are due a booster, take the booster. Observe physical distancing. Avoid crowded spaces. Stay hydrated, exercise regularly, and eat healthy so that you can protect yourselves and fight COVID 19.
January 21st to 29th. Celebrate H&L's 94th anniversary at H&L Agro. Get up to 50% off selected seeds, gardening accessories, pesticides, and more. Visit your H&L Agro store to save. Conditions apply.
Do what? Nobody light it. What your man say? Do what? No light what? Nobody light it. You know, sister, we in a dry season. Plus breeze a blow. You are set me up for disaster. Disaster? What kind of disaster? Bushfire, Joe. Bushfire. If that the fire they catch and spread, we can lose everything. House, land, car, gone. See a carelessness. Nobody light it. You know what, true? I feel with duty to protect life and property. Yes. Me glad you respect the warning.
This message was brought to you by Jamaicans Against Bushfires. Jab, plan, protect, prevent.
Welcome back to Sports Talk this Saturday, January 22. I am Daniel Blake. Thank you so much for staying with me. Good afternoon to everybody on Facebook and YouTube who have sent in their comments so far. Good afternoon, Sandra, Patricia, Dollis, Novlet, Pauline, June, Alvarine. Good afternoon to you. I will read those schoolboy comments later on when I get to that portion. But West Indies cricket, recently they went down to Ireland in a series right here, one day international series. Um, it rough. It's been rough on the West Indies for an extremely long time. And who better to talk to than someone who has covered the West Indies for decades? Fazeer Mohammed, he is an international cricket commentator. He's currently a commentator at the Under 19 World Cup. And I spoke to him recently about the West Indies' recent performances, their issues on and off the pitch, where we go from here, and so much more. So take a listen to Fazeer Mohammed. It's no surprise when the West Indies lose a limited over series. But against Ireland, who have recorded their first win against a test nation, we know about their less than ideal preparations with COVID and everything. You have seen the few highs over the years, but the many lows. Where would you rank this ODI series defeat?
Well, Daniel, thanks very much for the invitation to chat with you. And yes, I mean, I think we of my age would have seen many, many lows. And so it's yet another setback, yet another low mark. To be quite honest with you, it wasn't much of a surprise because if you recognize that the West Indies have been consistently poor for a long period of time in the 50 over variety of the game, that the standard of our batting in all formats continues to decline, and credit to Ireland that their game, for all of the challenges that they face, continues to improve. And you pointed out the setbacks that they've had to endure in the United States. I mean, they gave up basically their Christmas period with their families to go to the United States. Now they've come to Jamaica, even without some of their key players, their captain, Andrew Balboni, and so on, and they have prevailed. And yes, the argument will always be put forward about the West Indies batting first all three times, but the West Indies are an established test-playing nation with a very long and great pedigree. Ireland are still emerging as an international nation and fairly new at Test cricket, but they show the level of quality and probably more importantly, the hunger to want to succeed. So it's not entirely surprising to me that the West Indies would have succumbed to Ireland in this series, even though I know there's a lot of weeping and wailing around the Caribbean about this being a new low. I think that that takes away from the credit that we should give to Ireland for the improvement in their game.
Yeah, and you brought up a great point in the fact that Ireland sent in West Indies to bat in each of the ODIs. It's almost like they they knew that the West Indies would struggle to put runs on the board. I think even in the third ODI, I'm not remembering which player had said it in the stump mic, but he basically said the West Indies players get out in threes, so keep going. What does that say about the team in general that not even a relative minnow like Ireland fear them going into a match?
But the truth is, Daniel, nobody fears the West Indies anymore, nor should they. I recall, even as I have the privilege of being here at an ICC tournament, the under 19s, I remember the only other time I've been involved in an IC event, the qualifier in Zimbabwe, when the West Indies had to qualify to get to the 2019 World Cup. Afghanistan beat the West Indies twice. And also, I'm sure you'll recall this, the only reason the West Indies got into the main World Cup is one, a poor umpiring decision against Scotland, and then rain, which followed immediately after, because but for that umpiring decision and the rain, Scotland would have gotten into the World Cup ahead of the West Indies. So I think we need to remind ourselves of this. That was 3 years ago, because every new setback seems like something stunning. But if we pinpoint these little events that have been happening, we should recognize that this situation has been going on for quite some period of time.
Karen Pollard, the captain, came out after the match and basically criticized every batsman in the Caribbean, saying that we have a batting issue, and that he doesn't think that it would be fixed anytime soon. Obviously, paraphrasing. Even though myself and you know that, and many of the fans and critics of the team know that, do you think that it's appropriate coming from the captain who is supposed to be leading the team? And also, is it fair coming from someone who averages 26 in ODIs?
Correct. And the thing is, I think in fairness to Karen Pollard, I think he's acknowledged his own failings in that regard. If he didn't at this specific time, he's talked about it before, referencing his own poor shots and his own inability to make a contribution in the middle order. And we might say, well, look, this is not the right thing for a captain to say, because how could it possibly encourage the players? But maybe it represents a level of frustration as well on his part, because once more, let's not fool ourselves. The West Indies are near the foot of the rankings in all formats, including one day international cricket. So this is a continuing malaise, and maybe he's just saying this out of frustration to the fact that, look, we don't seem to be doing anything meaningful as far as solving this issue. I mean, the fact that we could have we watch young players. For those who would be watching this under 19 cricket World Cup right now, you see hungry young players all around the world. We see even in the West Indies squad players who are clearly eager, but then in a West Indies context, when they seem to move up to the international stage, when they do get that opportunity, that hunger seems to disappear. The pot belly starts to appear. The fitness is not the same. And then we ask ourselves, why is it happening to all players? A year ago, we were celebrating the unexpected victory over Bangladesh, with Kyle Mayer scoring a double hundred, and Kumar Bonner having an excellent couple of test matches, his first two test matches. Look at what has happened in 12 months, that the same players were struggling to get runs in Sri Lanka. Their numbers are going down rapidly. What is it about the attitude of our Caribbean cricketers that suggests that they lose that desire so very quickly? And maybe it was just an expression of frustration by Kieran Pollard, but it's absolutely right for people to question of his own place in the team as captain.
Yeah. Speaking of that, some people have defended the batsmen, saying that there's a school of thought that we haven't had first-class cricket since the pandemic. So we are seeing that out there on the pitch right now. But do you think that is just a smoke screen from the real issue that I believe that we've been suffering for almost 2 decades, that we have not been able to match up with the top teams at international level?
Well, let me answer that in two ways. How much first-class cricket has Ireland played? Cricket. Has any of the other teams played that we would have come up against recently? And part two, if you look at our overall numbers, the mediocrity precedes the pandemic. Let's not forget that. Let's not fool ourselves into thinking that the West Indies were at or near the top of the tree prior to the pandemic. Yes, there might have been the occasional good performance, good series, tremendous effort, and so on. But the general tenor of a West Indies batting performance, the one days we're talking about specifically here in the aftermath of the Ireland series, has been very, very poor. So the pandemic cannot be an excuse unless we want to ignore all of those facts.
So we now head into a T20 international series against England, which starts on Saturday. This is coming off the back of the Ireland defeat, the 3-0 series defeat to Pakistan late last year, and also the embarrassing showing at the T20 World Cup. In terms of our T20 performances, usually that has been our strong suit, but it seems as though the world has not only caught up to us, but they have adjusted and played different styles when they play T20 with the West Indies. It just seems that all we want to do is go for those big sixes, and it's so hard to adjust. Would you blame that on the coaching staff, or do you think that our players just don't have that discipline to adapt to the new style of T20?
It's a combination, Daniel. I know it's probably the thing that we all look for to apportion blame, to point the fingers of whether Simmons should be fired or whether Pollard should be gotten rid of, and that might very well make a difference. But again, we can only go by the evidence. We've changed coaches more often than people change clothes. 5 years, and it really has not made a measurable difference. Of course, the differences are World T20 titles in 2012 and 2016. And yes, you're right in pointing out that it doesn't reflect well on us as West Indian people, because it makes us look one-dimensional. You may recall that famous comment from Mark Nicholas, the commentator of the West Indies, being short on brains as going into the 2016 World Cup. And that was a motivation for Darren Sammy and his team to show that they were more than just pure power, that they were about thinking, they were about tactics as well. But you look at what happened in the last World T20, and it seemed as if we could only play the game one way. And that reflects very poorly on us as Caribbean people. You know, this idea of us as third world people, one-dimensional, can't think beyond our raw power and our raw strengths. We don't have the tactical acumen and so on, all of which is utterly false, because we've seen previously the technical and the tactical brilliance of our cricketers across many generations. But it really is disappointing when we see that apparent fixation with sixes and fours, even in those one days which we just saw, where a few players got decent innings towards the end. Odin Smith, for example, Romario Shepherd, with a lot of big hits, and we all got excited about it. But cricket is much more than that. And we've seen, I'm sure, even in your relatively young life, you would have heard that lament from Ian Bishop and so many others about the number of dot balls that we chew up every single match. And you keep hearing from the captain, well, we're working with, but you're not seeing any improvement. So going into the series against England, are we going to see the same? Us getting all excited about someone getting, 30 in 9 balls, and we still lose, but we still talk about that big six that almost hit the floodlights, yet we still lost the match. This sort of Instagram and Twitter fixation with 1 or 2 shots, and you lose the match anyway. What difference does that really make?
So do you think then that our players, for maybe the first time in history, that even players who are on the fringes of the West Indies team can break into these overseas franchise leagues in Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Canada and elsewhere. Um, do you think that they aren't learning from the other players that are there? We know that a lot of them play in the IPL and see some of the major stars there. Um, I guess why aren't they learning from them? And do you think that maybe it's time to try a new strategy to get these players to get back to a level where we're not the laughing stock of T20s?
I wish I had a straightforward answer for you for that one, Daniel. But when I really think about it, I have to ask myself. For example, you see all of our top players in the T20 franchises. They are key individuals. Someone like a Kieron Pollard, he's a fixture with the Mumbai Indians. Bravo, who's of course now retired, he's a main man for the Chennai Super Kings. Granted, Nicholas Puran has had a poor IPL, the last one, but he's still highly regarded in franchise cricket. And what I suspect is that in those environments, apart from being very well compensated, we know that we in the West Indies, we are small economies. We can't match what those players earn. But also, they are called upon to be professionals. And if you're not professionals, your contract will either be terminated or you'll find yourself on the sidelines. In the West Indies context, there seems to be an element of a comfort zone where you could turn up representing a West Indies team with your stomach lapping over the top of your pants. I mean, don't these players even value what it means to play for the West Indies? And that's why I have an issue with Cricket West Indies, and that is that attempt, because they can back away from it as much as they want, but there was an attempt to give Chris Gayle a farewell in an official international fixture with that T20, but of course he wasn't selected, but clearly that was their desire, to actually have a West Indies team that was not picked on merit, but to accommodate Chris Gayle's farewell. And I think that is devaluing what it means, Daniel, to play for the West Indies. To play for the West Indies has to be something that is cherished, the same way Aussies cherish the baggy green, the same way you see the Indians valuing and being desperate to play for India, whether at under 19 level. We need to find a way, whatever that way is. I don't have the answer for you, but we need to find a way to get our players to understand that playing for the West Indies is an honor that has been carried with dignity by some of our greatest cricketers, going all the way back to George Headley in the 1920s and 1930s, all the way through the three Ws, Sir Gary Sobers, Viv Richards, Brian Lara, all great fast bowlers. We have a tradition, Daniel, that other nations look up to us. You always hear it. I'm sure when you're listening to commentary or watching commentary, you always hear former players on commentary talk about being inspired by a Viv Richards or a Malcolm Marshall and so on. How many of our current players value a Viv Richards or a Malcolm Marshall? So I think it might sound like something that is too far-fetched and too difficult to get to. But if our players don't even understand or value what it means to play for the West Indies, will they really put out the effort?
Yeah. You brought up the fitness issue, which I'm going to ask you after I ask this. We have a new selection committee. We've removed Roger Harper. We now have Desmond Haynes and Ramnaresh Sarwan in. Do you think that a change in selectors will make any difference at all, or is this just a shot in the dark, hoping for better?
The answer to the first part is no, I don't think it will make a difference. And second part, yes, shot in the dark. I'll tell you why. Not because I don't think they're going to make a difference. Not because I disregard the contribution of a Desmond Haynes or a Ramnaresh Sarwan, but they can only select what is available to them. Just because Desmond Haynes becomes the lead selector, are we going to see an automatic transformation from the mediocrity that we're seeing now? Just because Ramnaresh Sarwan is a fellow selector, or if you bring in a Shivnarine Chandapal, you bring in anybody else, is there going to be an automatic transformation? That will only happen if possibly they are given the leeway to maybe talk to the players and maybe use their influence in a positive way to make a difference. So to answer that particular side of it, I mean, you look down the line again, call every name, every great name that comes to your mind in West Indies cricket. Sir Gary Sobers has been a batting consultant. Desmond Haynes has been a batting consultant. Sir Vivian Richards has been a coach. He's been a selector. Gordon Greenwich has been a lead selector. Every single name you can come up with has at one point or the other been involved in a key role, selecting, coaching, managing, and one. And yet still this is where we are, which tells us that it's more than just being carried away with a great personality who might be in a particular position.
And speaking on that, Ramnar Sarwan was on local radio here in Jamaica recently, and he said that the selectors may sort of revisit the fitness policy issue. We know that in recent times, high-profile players, Shimron Hetmyer, Evan Lewis, they've failed what the West Indies said previously were basic fitness tests. Now, when you see a selector in Sarwan saying that they plan to adjust that so that they can almost cater for these players, are you worried that, we are now going to be selecting players who actually don't take fitness seriously and we're trying to cater to them rather than them catering themselves for the team?
Oh, I fully understand when people say, well, why are you punishing Hetmyer because he has a little pot belly, yet still he can bat better than anybody else in the middle order? I understand that point. But again, fitness should be a non-negotiable in the same way that you working in the media. If you have a sports report to do or you have to start a show, it should be a non-negotiable that you start on time, that you turn up on time. You don't say, well, okay, 5 minutes later it wouldn't make a difference because people will be listening anyway. Fitness is a non-negotiable. And the thing is, Daniel, when we talk about that great era of West Indies dominance, fitness was a non-negotiable. There was no, so, well, because you made a double hundred the last test match, you don't really need to turn up for training today, or you got 5 because you got 11 wickets in the test match, you bowled 50 overs. Okay, you know what? You're not required to go into the nets and so on. Of course, there are certain allowances for managing workload, but that is a different issue entirely from talking about fitness. And if I didn't hear the interview, and if the inference is that we're going to make allowances for players who are not fit, then that is going down a slippery slope, because at some point, when a player is tired, physically tired, then you're careless with your shot making. Errors happen in the field. The bowling might be wayward. And again, it's not as if we are asking for something new. West Indies set the standard when it came to fitness. West Indies set the standard when it came to excellence as far as preparation. Everybody followed us, Daniel. This is the thing. We use an Australian, Dennis Wade, was assigned to the West Indies in that Kerry Packer era of the late 1970s, which many of us seem to want to pretend never happened. That West Indies operated at a level of fitness that we were the envy of the world. And you hear all the talk, Daniel, about new technology and Australians do this and they want to do that with all the technology that they have available. We had none of that. We had none of those resources. Yet there was that insistence on certain levels of fitness, which were, again, non-negotiable. So why can't we get back to that?
He's no longer the new president, but Ricky Skerritt, when he was brought in, he focused on bringing back former players into the system, former players and people from the region to help build Cricket West Indies, whereas previously Dave Cameron, the former president, he felt that going international was the way to go so that we can get back to that level. Having seen what you have seen under Skerritt over the the 4 years he has been there. Do you think that we have been better off by putting our emphasis on our former players and people from the region, or do you think that we should have maybe kept some of what Dave Cameron had done, so that we can, there would have been an easier transition?
Well, I'm going to give you an answer that makes me sound like a politician. It's six of one, half a dozen of the other. I'll tell you why. Because Dave Cameron was on a confrontational path with prominent players, and that makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. Why would you do that? Why would you want to be in a situation where you're alienating players who could be of value to you? We have a limited pool to draw on. And yes, of course, during his time, we won three world titles in the space of a few weeks, under 19, men's and women's T20. Of course, but still, overall, our performances were substandard. But the Dwayne Bravo issue, the issue of the team abandoning the 2014 tour of India because, unbeknownst to them, much of their money had been taken away to professionalize the new first-class game. And that sort of confrontational language, Dan, what does that achieve? What does that achieve to players who are essentially financially independent of West Indies cricket? How does that in any way, shape, or form help our situation? Rather than trying to bring these players in, not mollycoddle them, not bow to their every whim and fancy, but let's have a discussion. Let's understand that okay, you're making tremendous amount of money in the franchise formats all over the world. Can we talk about it? Can we establish maybe a routine where we say you play an IPL, a CPL, maybe one other franchise tournament, and then make yourself available? Otherwise, because we want to set the standard that you believe and want to represent the West Indies, why not that way? And on the other side with Ricky Skerritt, yes, it's good that we should draw on our own resources, but we also need to recognize that you can't go the other way. You can't simply say, well, okay, we only want legends around us. Everything must be the legends this, the legends that, the legends the other. We want to give Chris Gayle a big farewell in an official international match when he doesn't even merit selection. We select a World T20 squad when players and that team weren't informed, when their performances were mediocre. So it has to be a situation, and it's not an easy situation, I understand. But you can't be going to one extreme, wanting to confront prominent players all the time who don't bow to your will. And on the other side, you seem to be almost a cheerleader, almost one of those fanboys and girls running after the star players to give them everything they want. And again, this is where we are, Daniel. It's about being a proper administrator. And I'm not saying it's easy, especially in this place called the Caribbean, because if you're a Trini, you're going to get cussed by everybody else. If you're a Jamaican, you're going to get cussed by everybody else. But if you understand the lay of the land and the territory, you know that this is what you are in for. And if you see the greater good of West Indies cricket, you'll make the right decision and talk to the players, but also make them understand the priority must be that West Indies cricket is paramount.
We could obviously go on all day about this. But speaking of the future of the team, you're currently covering the ICC Under 19 World Cup, where our young players are there. Since 2018, Jaden Seals has been the only one to really make a breakthrough into the senior team. From what you have seen so far, is there any standout player that you think would make a difference going forward, or do you have the concerns that we're in big trouble going forward?
Well, at this point, it's difficult to say because I've actually only seen one match, and I wouldn't want to be unfair to the players. You can clearly see quite a bit of talent. You can see in a lot of these players that there's a tremendous amount of ability, that there's a lot of skill, there's a lot of hunger, there's a lot of desire. But you look at some of the other teams, and you seem to see a lot of players who are far ahead as far as their own development, as far as their own growth. you'd want to see these players really use this as a platform. So it would be too premature for me to pronounce on these players, having just seen them for only one match. But clearly there is talent there. I would really like to see these players though really take advantage of their opportunities and take advantage of whatever's been given to them right now as part of a West Indies team or with their respective territories and so on, and value what it means to play for the West Indies and put in the hard work, because all the talent that you have now comes to nothing without the hard work. Because one of the almost the pastimes of watching an under 19 World Cup is you look back and you say, well, what happened to this guy? He was looking so good at under 19 level, and I've never seen him at senior international level. And then you recognize that probably only 25% of these players go through to the highest level in senior international cricket. So it's not an easy journey, and they've got to work hard. There is talent, no doubt, but talent is only part of the job done.
And that was international cricket commentator Fazeer Mohammed on the West Indies' recent issues, their performances, and some scathing remarks there. But that's where we currently are with our team. We're going to head into a very short break, and when we come back, we'll be previewing the Manning Cup final with Trishana Mago.
Jamaicans, it's our Diamond Jubilee, 60 years of independence, and the cultural powerhouse JCDC is searching for Jamaica's next gospel star. The JCDC is now accepting entries for the Jamaica Gospel Star competition. Share your ministry in song. Submit your video performance of a cover or original song of 2.5 minutes. Visit the JCDC's website and social media pages for details to register and upload your entry. Entries close on February 28. Are you the next gospel star?
Digicel are the winner's circle for the second year running. This time walking away with the award for Jamaica's fastest mobile network, best mobile coverage and fastest home fiber internet. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Digicel.
Didn't catch that? It's just the truth. Digicel is the fastest LTE and home fiber internet in Jamaica, giving coverage and speeds you can rely on over and over again. Digicel. Better together.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness invites members of the public to attend a vaccination site Saturday, January 22 or Sunday, January 23 to receive their first or second dose of the AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, or Johnson & Johnson vaccine for persons 18 years and older. Jamaicans 12 years and older will also be offered the first or second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. Here are the sites for Saturday, January 22. Kingston and St. Andrew, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. St. Joseph's Hospital, Dehaney Park and Harborview Health Centers. St. Catherine, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Greater Portmore, St. Jago Park Health Centers, Ebony Vale Community Center, Old Harbour Civic Center, and the Linstead Anglican Church. In St. James, Montego Bay Comprehensive Health Center, Type 5, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. In Westmoreland, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Savannah Lamar Health Center and Royal Medical Center. Persons should take their vaccination card, a government-issued ID or letter from a justice of the peace to the sites. Let's get vaccinated and get back to life.
Welcome back to Sports Talk right here on Love 101. I am Daniel Blake. We have about 10 minutes to go before I have to get out of here. Let me read some of your comments. Not really sure who this is, but she says, I think the return of schoolboy football is a breath of fresh air. I welcome it at this time. Cherry from Spanish Town says, for the Manning Cup, KC win, lose, or draw. PC, win, lose, or draw, purple blood all the way. Um, I can't, this purple blood thing, can't bother with this. The pain, the pain. Dallas Blake had said congratulations to Edwin Allen, Clarendon College, and Garvey Maceo. Hi. Um, I believe that there was one earlier from Pauline Steele said Clarendon is my home, born and bred here. Congrats to the three Clarendon schools. A good look for the young men at high school level. To God be the glory. So continue sending those comments in, and I will certainly ensure that I read those on air. But right now, we are going to preview the Manning Cup final. And I am currently joined by Sports Journalist of the Year. She's also been to basically almost all of the games. She's seen all of the teams. Trishana Magowan. Trishana, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Danielle. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to your listeners, almost the viewers. But yes, to your listeners, you know I love 101, right?
Yeah. I've viewers on Facebook and YouTube, so you can link them
Okay,
also.
so I'm not wrong.
No,
All right,
you're
so good
not.
afternoon to them as well.
All right. So, as I said, you have seen a lot of the games this season. Speaking from an overall perspective, knowing that the teams had a short time to prepare, heading into the season, we are in the middle of a pandemic. How impressed have you been from all the teams, both in the Costa Cup and Manning Cup this season?
Wow, I'm happy that you asked, that overall question first because I am really, really happy that the boys have gotten the opportunity to compete in something that they love. And something I think many people sometimes forget that yes, you're students first. Let's throw that in. But like the rest of us, we need things to help us create a balance. And a lot of student athletes rely heavily on doing sports to have that balance in their lives. So for these boys to have gotten the opportunity this season to play, I am just happy for them, and I'm sure they're feeling the same way. Of course, the results would not have gone in favor of all of the schools, but for them to be back out playing, doing what they love, it's really tremendous. I really do applaud as well Keith Wellington, Linvern White, and the entire ISA team for continuously staying applying pressure to the government, allowing them to see how serious they are, and also trying as best as possible to accommodate the protocols. And it has been successful so far. Two more sets of matches to be played in the schoolboy football season. So, like I said, it has been good.
Um, it's the first time that Kingston College and Jamaica College will be playing in a Manning Cup final. I think since 1974.
Hmm.
Knowing that these are two major school powerhouses, are you disappointed that that there won't be any fans allowed in the stadium, and do you think that it takes away from the spectacle of the game?
Well, I think that the few fans that will be there because during the quarterfinal stages of the competition, the government had allowed the schools to have about 25 people only, right? So that was the arrangement between ISA and what the government allowed.
Mhm.
But yes, for the few fans that will be there, I think that it has to start with purpose. The boys have been playing a lot of the matches, especially those first round matches with no one in the stands, no one on the with only people like outside the roads and so on. So I think that the bigger picture, Danielle, is the fact that the season is being played.
Yeah.
They've gotten this far in the competition without fans. Yes, they'll be missing the fans inside with the loud noise, especially Kingston College. So they travel with an entourage and a band. But I think that they will get the job done regardless. They will miss the fans, but they will have the fans watching. So what better way to show them that you appreciate their support from afar?
Yeah, let's start with Jamaica College. I know that Duncan McKenzie their captain has gotten most of the spotlight this season,
Hmm.
but defensively, I believe that they've been the best team across both competitions, that is rural and urban. How impressed have you been with this Jamaica College team? And do you think that they'll be more motivated to add to their titles, seeing that they have won 6 of the last 7?
I think that there will be. A lot of these boys now playing would have not been a part of that winning team during Miguel Coley's time. And I think just a few left back from Davian Ferguson's team that won in 2019. And, like you said, Duncan McKenzie is a real leader, and he can go places, whether it's through sports or otherwise, because he's just academically inclined, like he's on the field. But like you said, defensively, they have been very good. And I think that's the thing. I think for me, that's the most intriguing part about this final. Kingston College, they lead goals, but Jamaica College, they've let in one or two as well. And I think because of that, defensively, it's a defense that just might, crumble under pressure. That maybe cost a team the win today. Along with, I think for me with JC, despite them being very good defensively, there are some matches where they should have been leading or should have scored, like most teams in football. I'm sure others listening will say, but as a football goes, they've gotten some chances that I thought that they did not capitalize on. But like we said, that's how football is. So if their defense is good and their goal scorers can get going, it can be good. And the same for Kingston College. Defensively, they're not bad. They have some players that are, how do I put this now? What's the term I'm looking for? They can cost it with some errors that their lack of discipline. That's the choice of word I'm looking for. Their lack of discipline in defense just might be the one to cost them as well. So it depends on if London should start some of those players in the game.
Yeah, and do have less than 2 minutes. I'm just gonna cut this part. Kingston College, when they won in 2018, we know how much pressure was on the team then because they had won it in decades.
30 years.
Yeah, and we know that already in our WhatsApp and in the comments, everybody's saying purple blood, purple blood. Do you think that the pressure will be more on KC, and do you think that that's going to make them, as you mentioned, make more of those errors and crumble, whereas JC seem to be very experienced in these competitions?
Excuse me. I think that, you see, Daniel, the thing with Kingston College, and for those who are fans of the school, because you can be a fan of a school or of an athlete and allow constructive criticism to take place. Kingston College on paper, Kingston College on the field are the better team in the overall competition of the Manning Cup. The players that Lodi will lose after this season, is like he will need to go back into rebuilding for the next couple of years, because a lot of these players he had in 2019 and they matriculate now into 2021. So with that said, they do have, I think the pressure is on themselves and what the school is expecting, because the players are no stranger to this high level of competition, and the quality as well within the team. Lewis Watson just returning, and we saw the difference. He came on as a sub in that semi-final against us and really made a difference. Christopher Pearson, quality player, formerly of Monroe College, and we can go on and on with the list of players, from Kingston College that can really cause problems for JC. But like I said, I think the seniority in Kingston College and the what people are expecting based on the quality of them, there just might be some pressure for them to deliver.
We obviously could go on and on, but unfortunately, I am out of time. Shoshana, thank you so much for joining me. Please have a great watch of the final, and we hope to talk to you very soon again.
No problem. Thank you for having me, and big up to 101 people at all times.
All right, take care. So that was Shoshana McGowan previewing the Manning Cup final between Kingston College and Jamaica College. Sorry, you have a team specifically? Calabar. All right, let me just close this show. I don't want to hear nothing about Calabar at all. So remember, you can watch the game, find it on TV for obvious reasons. As I said, I can't tell you where to watch it. Just use your remote and just scroll through. All right. But thank you again for joining me for yet another week. Sports Talk, as you know, is brought to you by the Jamaica Customs Agency, and the Attorney General's Department. I think I said that wrong. Accountant General's Department. I don't know why I said that. But thank you again. Please join me next week, Saturday at 1 p.m., where I'll do it all again. My name is Daniel Blake. Have a great weekend and see you next week.